Is this on? Okay. So when I think about the Hall of Fame aspect, I think about how I've used it myself, not just through innovation or even just my classes, but just in general. So we'll first start with innovation, so it'll make a little more sense for the class. I like to use history often as a means of comparing and contrasting to current situations. I'm a history buff. But when we were going over our debate, and I know I was the Department of Defense aspect, I noted the amount of troops we had as compared to the other side. And I thought about, okay, that's actually how the Civil War was won by the Union. Even though the Confederacy had won a majority of the battles, the Union managed to hold out longer, which ultimately led to their victory. And then for communication, I recently wrote an article about the use of nanotechnology for cleaning water in terms of lakes, rivers, and how it was perfected by Peruvian scientist Marino Maricoa. And I used direct quotes from him. And I also talked about how it can be used in the Chesapeake Bay for the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. And then we got English class. We're currently working on our emancipation essay. And I again reflected history in terms of how it's always repeating itself and how it's comparing and contrasting all throughout time, and the important figures that were part of it. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and the aspects, the events that have happened, even just today. And then, so just essays in general, when I'm citing my sources, I like to use direct quotes. I like using TEDx talks a lot because they make very good points. One example was in my E110 class, senior year of high school, when we're talking about the education system, saying, we're not taught to be creative. We're born creative, but then we're taught out of it, or rather, we're educated out of it. I know the quote's a little inaccurate. I haven't read it in a while, but you get the idea. It helps prove your point. It helps amplify your argument or your pitch that's being made, and that can greatly benefit you in several scenarios.